Well, thank you everyone for joining us for tonight's webinar on self-registration. My name is Andrea Vest and I work in the Academic Advising Office. I'm joined today by my friends and colleagues from the Office of the Registrar, and I will give them a minute to introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Kristen Ball. I'm the University Registrar.
Good evening. I'm Erica Jackson, one of the senior associate registrars.
We are here tonight to give you an overview of self-registration, offer some helpful tips and strategies, explain the process, and give you an opportunity to ask questions. So if you have questions, feel free to put them in the Q&A during our presentation. And if we don't answer them during the demonstration, we will absolutely make sure that we take time at the end to answer your questions. So without further ado, let's jump in. We thought tonight we would start with a look at Grad Tracker. And if you have not had a chance to look at your Grad Tracker, I highly recommend you take a minute to do that before you start planning for self-registration. You can access Grad Tracker from your student profile. There's a link on the left-hand side in the black bar. Once you click on Grad Tracker, it will take you to this screen, and this literally is your map to graduation. This top section of Grad Tracker is really just a summary about you and your academic um, progress, for lack of a better word. I want to point out a couple of important things here at the top. The first being your advisor. Your academic advisor won't be assigned to you until probably closer to orientation, if not during orientation. So the person that you've been working with thus far for advising is your summer advisor, and that person may or may not continue on as your undeclared or undecided advisor or pre-major advisor. You could be reassigned to someone else. So if at any point you need to talk to an academic advisor and you aren't quite sure who that person is, this is a great place to look. The other thing I want to point out here at the top is the hold section. If at any point a hold is put on your account, and this could be for missing health forms or an incomplete wellness requirement, I like to use the example parking fees, overdue library books, though I don't believe those holds go out often. This is a good place to check to see if you have any holds. Holds that could prevent you from registering for the following or next semester. You want to have a handle on as early as possible because you want to know how to clear those so that you won't be prevented from registering during your given time slot. Moving on in Grad Tracker, then you can see the general degree requirements for graduation. Everyone comes to Richmond as a student in arts and sciences with the designation of Bachelor of Arts degree. This will change should you choose after you declare your major. So please don't be alarmed. This is the default that everyone comes to Richmond under. But you can see here that everyone needs 35 units to graduate. Everyone needs at least a 2.0 to graduate, and then everyone has to complete the general education requirements as well as one major. Though you may major in more than one thing, you may also minor. You are just required to complete the requirements for one major. Grad Tracker then does a good job of outlining the general education requirements. We call these the web of inquiry, and we break them into three parts. The areas of inquiry, engagements, and integrated focus areas. So you can see here that there are 6 areas of inquiry to complete. And as you complete them or as you are registered for them, Grad Tracker is also indicating those classes as well. This particular student, you can see, has completed their natural science requirement through an AP exam, and they are currently registered for their social inquiry area of inquiry requirement under Econ 101. The engagements you'll see there are your first year seminar, second language proficiency, and then the 3 wellness requirements. I'd like to remind you at this point that the only wellness requirement that you have to take care of this semester is Well 100. That's a class that you will put on your plan for self-registration. The other 2 requirements you'll take care of in the near future. 102 you'll take care of next fall before the start of your sophomore year. That's a class that you don't register for. We send you a module in an email with instructions on how to complete that and a deadline by which it needs to be completed. And then lastly, that Well 101. This course needs to be completed before the start of your junior year. So again, we're not going to worry about it this semester. I just want it on your radar for the near future. Last on the Gen Ed list are the 5 integrated focus areas. And I say 5 because there are 2 written communication requirements there. These are courses that I don't want you to have to worry about quite yet. We don't need to search for them when we're building this plan for self-registration. I do want you to be aware of them. They should come attached to maybe another area of inquiry that you will take, or even an upper level class that you will take for a major. Again, I just want you to know that they're there and I want them on your radar. If by junior year you're not making much progress on the integrated focus areas, I do recommend that you search for classes with a little more intentionality to make sure that you are completing those 5 requirements. Now, my favorite part about Grad Tracker is the what if function. And when I'm thinking about putting a plan together for registration, I'd like to see what my interests, maybe I want to major in economics through arts and sciences. I'd like to see what courses are required for that particular major. That will help me plan for the next semester. So when we process economics from A&S, we can see that my gen eds don't change, but here Grad Tracker has outlined for me a major in econ. These are the classes that I should be thinking about. Anything with a check mark means there's a prerequisite, so I need to do a little more research, make sure that I've met that prereq before I register or put that class on my plan. Otherwise, anything else could be a potential class for my fall semester. With that, I will turn it over to Kristen for a demonstration on the registration system.
Thank you, Andrea. Thanks for going through that. So I'm going to go through what it's going to look like when you start to register at 9 a.m. on August 6th. When you want to register, you will come to your student profile in Bannerweb, and there is a registration option on the side. Now, some of you might have already been in and completed your action item, but this student has not, so we're going to view that action item. This is something you have to do before you can register, and it's good to get it out of the way before registration starts at 9 a.m. So I need to do my authorization for Title IV funds, and I hover over the pending, I accept, and save. And then my save has been successful, so now I can go back to my profile. I don't have any kind of holds, and I can click on registration to start working on my registration for fall. There's a few different options on this page. I just want to briefly cover a couple and then get into the registration. So prepare for registration. You won't need that. Sorry. Let's hit continue. We're going to go here. Prepare for registration. You won't need your for this semester so much, but you're going to select your term, which of course is fall 25. And here is where you can see if you have any holds. Going forward, you'll get an advising hold before registration to make sure you've been advised, but that's not in place for this year. And then if you have any other kind of holds, parking tickets or whatever, those would show up here. So I just want to check that, make sure I'm all clear. Then I can go back to this screen. So when you're going into registration, we recommend that you make a plan again, and you should be familiar with the plan ahead feature. It's going to look like where you left it before your registration was pushed for the fall. So with this is my fall plan and this is my FYS plan. I don't need these plans anymore because they've been pushed and now I'm looking to make a shorter, more concise plan. So I'm just going to delete them by clicking the delete button. It's fine. Now I can create a new plan by clicking on create new plan. And now instead of just being able to make 2 plans, I can make 3 plans if I want to. But I'm going to go ahead and create a new plan. And you can see, I can see my schedule here. I can see what I'm already registered for. And then I can search for things to add to my plan. So say I want to take some kind of history class to fulfill my historical studies requirement. Not everything you take in your first year or first semester has to meet a requirement, but I want to knock maybe one of them out of the way. So I'm not sure which classes meet my history requirement. I'm going to go to advanced search. I don't have to put in a subject code, but I can just put in the attribute I'm looking for. All of the attributes for general education start with AI and IF. So if I just put AI, it pulls up all of the different gen ed attributes, and I can click historical inquiry and search, and it will pull up all the classes that meet historical inquiry. Now you can see some of them are not offered for the term, so I'm just going to skip by those, but some of them I can view sections. That means it is offered for this particular term. So I want to see the different sections that there are, and then I can add it to my schedule by just clicking add here or to my plan. And then you can see that it's pending down here. And I can just keep doing that as long as I want to find a schedule. For this plan, we recommend just putting a couple of classes on it. You can register for up to 4.5 units. At this time, you should hopefully already be in 2 units. So really, you're just looking for 2, maybe 2.5 more units. So you don't need to make long plans. And you don't want to put the 20 classes on like you did before, or it will really slow down the registration. But if I want to look for, say I'm interested in environmental studies, I can just search by the subject code. You can see when I hover in the box, I also get the list of subject codes. So if I'm not sure what my intended class starts with, I can just kind of search through. And then I can search for classes that are offered that have environmental studies in them. So there's a few offered this semester. I'm just going to scroll down and see what there is. And this one, Planet, Earth, Wind, and Fire, looks good to me. So I'm going to go in and view the sections. A couple of things when I see the sections. If you click on the title of the class, you can get more information about the class. You can get the course description and any special text that's on the class would show up here. You can see the attributes, so what requirements it fulfills. We use attributes for major requirements and gen ed, so some classes might have a whole lot of attributes on them. You can also see restrictions. So if it's only available to certain majors or something like that, you would see that here. You want to make sure that it is available to arts and sciences students because that's what you all are right now. So you don't want to pick, say, a law class because you'd be restricted from registering for law. You can also see if the class has any prerequisites, and this is an introductory class. It doesn't have any prerequisites. And you can see if it's cross-listed. So some classes have 2 different subject codes, and you can see, say, if the environmental studies section is full, I can see, oh, there's geography. Maybe that one has seats, and I can go search for geography. And finally, here you can see if there are any linked sections. There are very few classes that have linked sections. And when I go back a screen, you'll be able to see that more clearly on the registration screen, but you can see it here too. And a linked section is something you have to take along with the lecture section in order to be registered. So that sort of information is available by clicking on the title. I can also see here, of course, the days and times, and I can see the status of the class. So this one is full. There are 0 out of 16 seats available, and it's linked. So I can click on View Linked to see what it's linked with and to add that lab to my plan too, if I wanted to do that. Because if a class has a link, you have to put both the, say, lab and lecture on your schedule in order to be registered for the class. So I just wanted to show that I'm not adding that to my plan. I've decided I want to do something else. Say, maybe I'm going to do my second language proficiency. So I can do, oh, I don't want to fill out a subject, sorry. I want to fill out an attribute. So our language requirement, which everybody has to take a language through the intermediate level or test out of it or get AP credit for it. So I'm going to look for the classes that meet the second language proficiency, which have the attribute SLP. When I search for that, it's just going to take a minute. Let's see. Sure why that's not coming up. Let's try again.
I don't know that that attribute is searchable.
Okay. Thank you, Andrea.
Yeah.
Okay. So say I know that I want to take Spanish. Here, Spanish falls under the subject heading Latin American and Iberian Studies. So don't look in the S's for that. Look in the L's for Spanish, and you'll see Latin American and Iberian Studies. And then you can search for that. Okay, so you should be able to search and you'll get results there. I'm sorry for that. But I can keep searching for classes. Say I want a science. I can go for biology, search it, and I would find classes that I can add. But right now, I'm happy with my one American Studies class. Let's try one more time.
You may have to go, I know that I've gotten hung up here before.
Hmm?
Go back to select a plan or select term. You may just have to back out a little bit.
Yeah. So we're going to save the plan that I made. I can name it whatever I want at this point before we had pre-named the plans for you. So we're going to save that as, and so you can see that American Studies is now part of my planned classes. So I can go back out to select a plan. You see that my plan is here, and the plan only has the stuff I'm planning to take. It doesn't have the things that I'm already registered for. So if I can go back anytime and edit the plan just by clicking on the edit button and searching for what it is that I want to take. So let's try this again with my Latin American and Iberian Studies. And there you can see all the Latin American and Iberian Studies classes come up. The one that fulfills the language requirement is 221, but that is assuming prior Spanish knowledge. So if you've never been in Spanish before, don't put that. The 121 is the elementary, so starting from 0 class. And I'm going to look at the sections. And for this, I wanted to show you this because most of our classes are 1 unit. So it's the equivalent of 3.5 semester hours for parents that might be used to semester hours, but our classes are 1 unit. This one, however, is 2 units. So it takes up the space of 2 classes. So if you're taking the intensive language, you're only going to register for 3 classes total, because notice that it meets many times during the week. It meets 5 days a week, sometimes twice a day. So you'll just want to plan for that around your schedule to make sure that you can fit that in. But I'm going to go ahead and add this one to my plan. And now you can see that it's on my plan. And I'm going to save my plan again. And that's saved to the same plan. If I wanted to, I could go back and make a new plan. So I have 2 plans available, but I don't have to do that. So the plan is made. You can, again, make up to 3 plans. Just put a few classes on each plan. Don't put the 20 classes. And the ranking does not matter anymore. The registration will not be looking at the ranking, so you don't have to worry about the little sticky note and putting a number there. You can just add the class to your plan. So when registration time comes, I'm going to look at registration. And here I'm going to go to the Register for Classes option. And I'm going to register for fall 25. And it's just going to think a minute. So there's various ways you can register. You can register by looking for classes, the same kind of search we just did before, but it will just show you classes that are being offered. You can register by entering CRNs. Those are the 5-digit numbers that are next to the class on the schedule. So if you know your CRN and want to quickly add it here, you can do that, and you can put multiple CRNs here. Or you can register from a plan. And when you register from the plan, you can either add individual classes from your plan, or you can add all of the classes on your plan. So this, when you're doing your first round of registration, we recommend doing it this way so that you can get as many on there as possible and see what happens. So I'm just going to add these all to my registration because it's registration day. And I can see that they're pending. I can see them pending in my detail schedule here. And I'm going to click submit and see what happens. So it's thinking, okay, so I got my American Studies class. It tells me I'm registered, but for Spanish, I got an error. So up in the corner, you can see what the error is, or by hovering over the error message here, it tells me. So it's a time conflict with CRN 10122, which is my econ class. I want to keep my econ class. I don't want to drop that. So I'm just going to get rid of Spanish at this point. And if I keep it on removed and click submit, then it goes away from my schedule. So at this point, I'm still looking for at least one other classes, and I need to take my wellness class, my Well 100. So I'm going to go back and find a wellness class that I'm interested in taking. The wellness classes are the same topic for everybody. It's just the time and day that will change. It meets once per week for 75 minutes. So that's what you're looking to fit into your schedule. So here again, I can see how many seats are available in the ones I want to take. This one's full, so I'm not going to even try. But this Monday one with Brian looks good. That fits my schedule, I hope. Yes, I can see that it fits my schedule. So I'm going to put that into registration, click submit, and now I am registered for that class. But again, I still need another class. So I can go back to find classes, do a new search. Maybe I want to take an art history class. I can click art history, clear out the course number. When you're doing an advanced search, I recommend putting in as few parameters as possible just to make it sure your search is wide open. So I'm going to search the art history classes. Here, when I'm searching, I can see that this one is a time conflict. So I either need to drop the time conflict one or just not register for that class at all. But this one is not a time conflict. It has seats available, so I'm going to add it. It's pending registration. I click submit, and now I'm registered for that class. So I can see my schedule. It looks nice and balanced across Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, and that's the meeting pattern most of our classes have is either Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday. There are some 1-day-a-week classes and some Monday, Wednesday, Friday classes. So I like my schedule. That's good. But maybe I want to, say, try to change my FYS. Now, be careful about changing your FYS because you want to make sure there's not a whole lot of seats available. And so you want to make sure that the one you're registering for does have seats. So I'm going to go back and search for FYSs by FYS. And this one looks good. I see it's full, but I'm going to try and get on the wait list. So I'm going to add it to my schedule. But I want to make sure that I can actually get into this new FYS before I drop my other class, because I don't want to drop this FYS, not be able to get into the second one, and then have no FYS at all. So I'm going to use this little box here that says conditional add drop. And that means that it won't drop me from my first FYS if it can't add me to the second one. So I'm going to give it a try, click submit. And as I could tell from the time conflict, it won't let me register. I can hover here and see that it doesn't have seats, and it tells me that it was unable to make my requested changes. But since this class does have a wait list, I can put myself on the wait list by clicking on the drop down, clicking on wait list, and submitting. So now you can see the status is waitlisted, but I'm still registered for my original FYS, and I haven't lost that. So the conditional drop add is very helpful in making sure that you don't leave something behind that you still might want to take if you can't get into another class. So just keep that in mind as you're doing your conditional drop ads. You can only do it when you're adding one class at a time. You can't do it when you're adding multiple classes, but it is good for when you're adding one class at a time. So now I have my schedule. I'm happy about it. I have my waitlisted class here, so I can wait and see if I get off the wait list. So students are allowed to be on up to 4 wait lists at a time, and each wait list has a cap of 10. So you can add yourself to up to 4 wait lists. And then when wait list starts running, we send out emails when a spot becomes available. And you have 12 hours from the time that the spot becomes available to take your seat. Otherwise, you'll be dropped and it will go to the next person on the list. And once you're dropped from the wait list, you can't get back into the same position you were before. You'd have to go back and re-add yourself to the wait list, and then you'd be at the bottom of the wait list at that point. So a few other things about registration. I mentioned not to register for classes for which you're not eligible, things like the ones you don't have the prereq for or the school restriction. There is a list on the New Spiders website that has first year recommended courses. So they're generally courses without prereqs and that are appropriate for first year students, 100 and 200 level classes, kind of introductory to college kind of classes. So again, don't pick the law classes or MBA. And also you might see some classes with a U at the end of the number, like 302U. That is in our School of Professional and Continuing Studies, and you can't register for that either. Thank you, Andrea, for dropping the link to the recommended first year classes into the chat. So those are the things I wanted to show you. Oh, and one other thing. Say I do want to drop a class. I'm not doing a conditional drop. I just know that I want to drop a class. I'm not interested in taking the American Studies anymore. I can do that by coming over to the action, doing the drop, delete, and submitting. And then it's no longer on my schedule anymore. So then I just have the 4 classes for which I'm registered. So that's how, if you want to change things around, you can drop a class here, and you can drop at the same time you're trying to register. You don't have to drop and then go back and register, but you can do those at the same time. But again, just be aware of the seats remaining and if it has a wait list or not. And at 9 a.m. on the 6th, things are going to go quickly. So it's important to have your plan ready and be able to hit submit as quickly as possible. And then you can start going back to see where you can fill in your schedule. But you should try to leave registration on the 6th with 4 units of registration, and that will be a full-time schedule here. And that's what we recommend your first semester, just to get used to school. You can later go up to 5.5 units, but again, we recommend 4 for the first semester, just to not overwhelm and to get you used to things. So with that, that is what I wanted to show tonight about how to register, how to search for classes. And I'm happy to take questions. Erica and Brian, I don't know if there's questions, or Andrea, if you wanted to add anything.
I'll let the questions bubble up first.
Okay.
So a question about AP scores and when they would be added to the grad tracker or in Banner.
Okay, so we add the AP scores within a couple of days when we get them. If you sent them a while ago and you're not seeing them, please email registrar@richmond.edu so that we can look into that further. If you have not sent them to us, and they have to come to us directly from College Board, not as part of your high school transcript or with your high school information, you can go on to collegeboard.org and order them to come here, and we're code 5569, and you can do that. But again, we try and get the AP and IBs on within a couple of days of when we get them.
How many classes should we put in each plan?
Since you can only go up to 4.5 units, and hopefully you're already registered for at least 2, I would put just 2 classes or 2.5 units in your plan. And then you can go back and fill in. And you can, again, do up to 3 plans with a couple classes each to try it when you register.
I'm going to add plus your Well 100. Please make sure that's also on your plan.
Thank you. Andrea, Erica, and Brian all teach Well 100. They look forward to seeing you in one of their classes this fall.
Well, Kristen, what happens if you don't put Well 100 on your plan?
Oh, thank you. Yes. So if you don't put Well 100, or if you drop the FYS that you're in, we will re-register you for one ahead of orientation. So it's in your best interest to pick one that is at a time you like instead of at the times that are left when we go to register right before orientation. Because everybody must take a Well 100 and an FYS 100 in the fall. Those are the only two fall required classes that you have.
You touched on this a little bit, but just want to bring this question back to you in terms of an FYS that they're registered for and wanting to change it.
If you want to change it, I would definitely recommend doing the conditional drop add so that you make sure you can actually get into the second FYS without losing your first FYS. And again, things are going to go quickly at 9 a.m. on the 6th. So it might look like there's a seat, but if somebody presses submit, a hundredth of a second before you, that might fill the class. So definitely do the conditional drop add if you're trying to change your FYS, unless it's one that has, 5 or 6 seats remaining, and then you should be able to get in.
Kristen, can you demonstrate that one more time? You had added it to your summary, but I don't know that you deleted one. You didn't drop one in exchange during that first demo.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to just redo the same thing. Get back in, just to clear everything out there. Okay, so I want to register for 10987 as my new
Does that one
CRM.
have seats?
Um, no, it doesn't have seats, but it's good. Here, we can pick one that has seats. 9 classes, FYS. Okay, this one has seats and doesn't have a wait list, so I'm going to add that. I don't want going places anymore, so I'm going to remove that. So no, that's the one I want. I don't want digital communications anymore, so I'm going to remove that. So if I want to hit drop for my FYS that I'm hoping to drop and being able to add going places, but I'm also going to do conditional drop add to make sure I can get in, and then click submit. And it was able to get me into going places, so it dropped me from the double life of Paris. But again, in the other example, since there were no seats in that other FYS, it did not drop me from the double life of Paris.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Question about Well 100. Is Well 100 a whole unit? I'm taking an intensive language in FYS, so am I only supposed to add one more class, which would be Well 100?
Oh, thank you very much for that question. Well 100 is 0 units, so there's no credit associated with it. So you need to register for 4 classes, or 3 if you're doing the language, of credit-bearing class. And you can see on the schedule under hours how many units a class is worth.
What are some examples of a half unit class?
We don't have a whole lot of half units. Typically, they are independent studies, internships, some of the music classes and music lessons, and there's 2 in the business school that are a half unit, the business communications and the Excel class. I know a lot of people put those 2 classes on their plans, but please know that they don't have many or any seats available. So while you can try, or you can put yourself on a wait list, those aren't typically open at this point, but only one of those is even required for the business major.
What happens if we don't get the classes on our plan? When will we know if we did not get that class?
So you'll know right away, because in your registered status here, it will show you as registered or not registered. It will give you the error message if it's full or something like that. So you are actually registering yourself here. You create a plan to register from, but when you go into registration, the register for classes, you are doing your registration here, and you will know immediately if you are in the class that you want to get in or not. And if you don't get what you're looking for, keep looking. Try to come out of next Wednesday with 4 units and put yourself on up to 4 waitlists. Things will change between now and the end of the drop add period, which is the end of the second week of class. It's possible some seats can be added in various places, and also the returning students will be back into registration and they'll be changing their schedules around as well. So things can move, but try to come out of next Wednesday with a full schedule that you'd want to take if you can't get into the other choices that you waitlist for.
Can I add something here? When we're talking about creating plans to use for registration and maybe not getting what you want, this is where a backup list of classes comes in handy. I recommend rather than making 3 individual plans of potential schedules, you make one perfect ideal plan that you'd like to run through the registration system, and then separately have on a sheet of paper or an Excel spreadsheet, however your brain works best, a list of alternate classes at shoot for 3 to 5 backup classes for each class you'd like to register for. And on that sheet of paper, I would note the CRN, so that important 5-digit identifier, because I can use that for registration. I'd also want to know at a glance, is this a Tuesday, Thursday class? What time does it meet? Is this a Wednesday, Friday class? I want to be able to make the best decision as fast as I can when I'm trying to fill spots on my schedule. So while you can use the plan ahead feature to make 3 separate plans, you may find it's not as easy to navigate finding replacements and backups from a plan. So that is my suggestion to my advisees every year.
Are there seats held for first years and will additional sections be added?
The seats that were being held for first years have been added. They were added before we pushed the plans and pre-registration. So it's possible that a seat or two may be added here and there, but typically we're not adding a lot of seats or new sections at this point.
Is the CRN unique to the class section?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Here's one. In the conditional add drop function, how does the program know what class to drop you from if you get into the waitlisted class?
So if you got the waitlist notice, then that is just for you. You would come to the action and click register. That will be an option for you, and just for you. And then you would pick do the drop, drop this class from the drop down menu. But yeah, when you get off the wait list, you're not automatically registered. You have to come in and pick register from here, and then you can get in the class.
Should I want to be on the wait list for 4 separate classes or just for 4 sections of classes with specific times?
And that is completely up to you. If you're dying to change out of one of your classes into a different section of the same class, you can put your name on 4 of the same classes, but I would recommend spreading them out. But Andrea, if you have other advice.
Yeah, it's really how do you want to spend your waitlist money? It's up to you. Your waitlist currency.
Kristen, can you clarify the process of building plans versus registering on the 6th? There seems to be some confusion about going in on the 6th to build plans versus actually registering. So can you kind of just do a one more overview of that process and why they're different?
Sure thing. So you can build a plan right now. You don't have to wait until the 6th to build your plan. And it's a good idea to go ahead and build that plan now so that on the 6th at 9 a.m., you can just come in and select your plan to register from and add it. And so that will save you time. And again, tenths of seconds do make a difference in registration. So if you have a built plan already, it will go much more quickly for you. So you're going to want to do that now. And then you can just add all the classes at once and try to register.
I had a question this morning that may be useful for others to hear. If you have priority registration, say you're a student athlete and you were pre-registered for all of your classes, including Well 100 for the fall, and you are happy with that schedule, there is nothing you need to do on August 6th. If you want to make changes to anything, you do need to take care of that during self-registration, starting at 9 a.m. next Wednesday. But if you are happy with what you have, you need not log in and do anything. You are already registered.
Yes, thank you. There. Other questions, Erica?
Um, Another question about, are there consequences for dropping a class during registration?
No, there's no real consequence for dropping the class as long as you pick something else up. Again, if you drop a class that has people on the wait list, when you drop it, you're not going to be able to get back in to that class. So just keep that in mind. Use the conditional drop add to make sure that you can keep the class. But there's no consequence. You just need to be full-time, by the end of drop add, which full-time is 3.5 units.
What does it mean when there are 0 out of 0 seats available compared to something like a class is full and 0 out of 18 seats available? Does it mean this class is no longer being offered?
No, this is our test system, so not all of the classes had seats in them. So usually you're going to see 0 out of 20 or 0 out of 10 seats available. You won't see 0 out of 0 seats on a class that's still being offered.
Sorry, trying to. How long will registration be open?
Oh, good question. So it opens again at 9 a.m. on the 6th. Sorry, I keep repeating that, but people sometimes get confused about the time, and that's 9 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Um, and it is open through the end of drop ad, which is the Friday of the second week of classes. So you will have that time. Keep in mind, a lot of classes may only be added the first 5 days of classes. So like FYS can't be changed after the Friday of the first week. So plan to have your schedule set by the end of the first week of classes, but it will be open continuously from the 6th until then, and you can be making changes during that time.
What is the most common mistake made by students on registration day, and how can they avoid it?
Ah,
Ooh,
that's a good one.
that is good.
Do you want to take that, Andrea?
So,
You want me to give that a try?
I would say not having enough backups.
Yeah, not having the backups and not being ready at 8:59:59 to
Mhm.
be able to register. Because again, it is tenths of seconds do make a difference when it's time to register.
Yeah. I think the other common one is dropping and not using that conditional add drop. That really is your insurance policy against losing a seat, a confirmed seat in something. Um, if if nanoseconds count, if you're not able to get into a class, that conditional add drop is super helpful.
Yeah. And the wait lists for FYS do tend to at least for some sections, fill up. So just keep that in mind. If you drop one of the FYSs that has a long wait list, it's going to be very difficult to get that back. There were some FYSs that had 60, 70 people put them as their first choice. So, and there's only 16 seats available, and that's a hard cap. So there will be people waiting and putting themselves on the wait list for some of those classes. Are there pending questions, or I can go to my last slide?
Now, one here is how many classes can be submitted for registration at once?
You can submit multiple questions for registration at once, but it will slow the system down if you do that, because it will have to cycle through and do error checking and prereq checking on all of those classes. So the more you have on, the longer it takes to do that.
I also think that putting several classes in your plan and running it through, um, the computer's just going to stop at the first random
Mhm.
open seat it finds, the first, 2 units that it finds. So it's a little more indiscriminate. The rankings that you did for your pre-registration plan no longer mean anything to the computer. It's not reading rankings. It's literally just taking what you give it and trying to find a seat as fast as it can. I see a question here about AP scores. I'm going to drop in the chat the AP chart.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I'm going to try to get my correct screen up with my last slide. Hopefully you're seeing the slide itself and not the whole reader's pane.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so I just wanted to leave you with a few things to remember, but still happy to take questions if those come up. Again, repeating myself, registration opens at 9 a.m. Eastern on August 6th. You need to put yourself in a wellness, a well 100 section, and 100 is the only one that you should put in for the fall. You need to do that, or we will put you in one before orientation. So this is your time to get a time and day that you would like. Don't drop an FYS unless you absolutely have to and you see openings or you do the conditional drop ad. And again, you can add yourself for up to 4 waitlists. There's nothing that stops you from going over more, but we will drop you off the waitlists in excess of 4 in the last whatever number you put on. The first 4 we'll keep, and then we'll drop the rest for you. So don't do that. Check your email often, your richmond.edu email, because that's where waitlist notices will go. And again, you have 12 hours, and the email will say the time that your window ends. And you have 12 hours in which to log into BannerWeb, do the drop down that says register, and then drop whatever class you want to drop to replace it with the waitlisted class. We can't put you back onto the wait list or put you in your former position if you miss your time. And again, the FYSs have a hard cap of 16. There are no seating capacity overrides. So don't count on getting a seating capacity override for that. In some other cases, you may be able to get an override from the department, but some classes will have in the course description text, if you need to email somebody about a waitlist or an override into the class, say the biology 199 or some of the physics classes. But FYS does not do capacity overrides. And those were the main things I wanted to hit home. And of course, Ms. Vest's office, the Academic Advising Resource Center, is available. Their email is advising.richmond@richmond.edu. And my office is also available at registrar@richmond.edu.
Another question, how do we test out of our language requirement? Is there a test that we can take now?
Andrew, do you want to take that one? I
Yeah,
know
I
most of the
absolutely
answer.
can. I did throw in the chat the language placement link. You can take that almost immediately. On that link, there's a request form for the language that you'd like to have an exam sent to you. It is online. You can do it from home. They say to plan for about 60 minutes, though I don't think it takes quite that long to take the placement exam. If you score high enough, you could receive a follow-up from a professor from that particular language with a little, perhaps a request for more information, maybe a Zoom conversation or a meeting to set up for when you arrive to campus, because some of them like to have a writing sample as well. But it is possible to show proficiency, demonstrate proficiency through the placement exam process. So please do look there. And I am also going to throw in the new Spiders Summer Series lineup. There was an evening that the folks from the languages came to present. So if you haven't watched the language presentation, I do recommend you do that before you register on next week.
When do waitlist emails start to go out?
So if it's a class that only has first year students on the wait list, like FYS, they will start going out probably as soon as about 9:02 on registration morning. If it's a class where there's upper class students already on the wait list, that won't start processing until August 18th, which is when they come back on the system. Because right now, if they got a wait list notice, they wouldn't be able to take it because they're not allowed to register at this point.
Can I add a clarification point? Please check your Richmond email. We are not emailing your personal email accounts. We are only communicating from here on out at your richmond.edu address. So it's super important that is your email account that you're checking.
There are also on our website, the registrar's website, under registration and then undergraduate registration, there are videos about all the different little parts of registration. So if you want to see a quick blurb about adding yourself to the wait list or something like that, you can watch a 2 or 3 minute video on our website to see how you do that one particular thing.
I'll throw that in the chat too.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Any final questions or?
I don't know, we might have covered it all. This is wonderful. We are going to post this recording on the New Spiders Summer Series website, on YouTube. So if you need to revisit it, please do. We wish you all the best of luck next Wednesday, and we are really looking forward to meeting you on campus.
Yes. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Thank you.